Hi, this is Toronto Mic'd, and I'm here with Skye Wallace. Hi, Skye. How are you today?
That works for me. You kidding me? In the headphones, it sounded amazing. So. I complimented you as an improv artist, and then I think you got lost in your one-liner.
No. That was
intentional.
I was trying to mess around a little bit. Improv.
Welcome to episode 1711. 711 of Toronto Mic'd. Proudly brought to you by Great Lakes Brewery, a fiercely independent craft brewery who believes in supporting communities, good times, and brewing amazing beer. Order online for free local home delivery in the GTA. Palma Pasta. Enjoy the taste of fresh, homemade Italian pasta and entrees from Palma Pasta in Mississauga and Oakville. Yes, we are open, an award-winning podcast from Monaris, hosted by FOTM Al Grego. Toronto Maple Leafs baseball, the best baseball in the city outside the Dome. Get your butts to Christie Pitts this summer. RecycleMyElectronics.ca. Committing to our planet's future means properly recycling our electronics of the past. Building Toronto Skyline, a podcast and book from Nick Iones, sponsored by Fusion Corp Construction Management, Inc. And Ridley Funeral Home, pillars of the community since 1921. Joining me today, returning to Toronto Mic'd in her sexy, preggy, iced tea chug era, it's Skye Wallace.
Hey, how's it going?
Sexy, preggy, iced tea chug era. Do you know I literally copied and pasted those words from something you put on social media?
Yeah. Hearing it out loud makes me hate myself a little bit.
See, I liked it. I'm using it all over the place. Like, it's in all the promos.
Yeah. I like, as a concept, I'm very proud of it.
Okay. I like it, but let's start with the sexy is obvious.
Yeah.
Okay, always, of course. Preggy. Mm-hmm. You, Skye Wallace, are pregnant.
I am, yeah. I'm super stoked.
Okay. That's exciting. Congratulations.
Thank you. Yeah, I'm very excited.
Now, how pregnant are you, Skye Wallace?
I'm like 7 months or so.
That's a lot.
That's a lot.
Well, just so you know, I've been in the room for 4 deliveries.
Whoa.
If anything goes, if anything happens during this recording, I think I know what to do. So
okay.
I'm just letting you know you're in good hands.
Hey, okay. I'm in on that.
Let's induce it. Okay.
Let's induce.
Okay. Are you, Skye Wallace, superstitious?
I'd like to say no, but yes.
Okay, elaborate because you know you're here on Friday the 13th.
Oh, right. You know what?
You forgot. You would have rescheduled.
So how superstitious am I really? But I also like the idea of Friday the 13th being good luck, you know?
Oh.
I've heard that as well. And I really like horror movies. So, yeah.
But when you say you are superstitious, what do you mean? What? How is Skye Wallace superstitious?
I mean, I think I knock on wood just in case. I like to do a lot of those little things just in case. And I think my grandparents heavily influenced me. Like my grandmother was Scottish. So we would always clean the house on New Year's Eve so that the first day of the new year, because it's exactly how your year is going to go.
Right. The
first day of the year it would be clean, so that you have kind of like a chill.
I hadn't heard that one, but that one actually makes good sense. Like a clean slate. Do you remember way back when you had your first day of school? Mm-hmm. And do you remember this, at least for me, I would go to Grand and Toy and I'd get a new binder, some new pens and pencils and erase. I would be so organized that first day. I wanted to start the year with this on the right note.
Yeah.
And then by the second week, everything was just a disaster. Everything was everywhere. But that first day of school, I was so prepared.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. And also just I would be writing all over my shit. So I, by the end of the year, it would be destroyed. So I would need a new one.
So I like that Scottish superstition.
Yeah. And I've had experience with ghosts and stuff like that.
Now we're talking. Yeah. Now we're talking. So shout out to Ridley Funeral Home.
Yeah. Perfect.
Okay. Here's your measuring tape from Ridley Funeral Home.
Oh my gosh. Yeah.
Measure whatever. You can measure your belly.
Ooh.
I know that's a thing, right? Are you documenting
my
all
midwives did that the other day. They
you have multiple midwives?
Well, they're like a team. So depends on who's available and who's not.
Oh, I get you. I was going to say, it takes a village to
village.
to get that Wallace baby out. By the way, somebody was over. I'm embarrassed. I can't remember who it was. But somebody was here who said they were at Skye Wallace's wedding.
Oh.
Can you name everyone at your wedding until we hit an FOTM who was here? Like, why don't I know who it is? It's not Gina Kennedy, is it?
Could have been.
Was she at your wedding?
Was there, yeah.
It might be her.
Yeah, that would be nice. I mean,
I think it was Gina Kennedy.
Yeah.
Okay,
it was great.
Because I'm like in love with Altered by Mom.
Yeah, they're the best. I love them.
In Devon,
we partied in a curling club for that wedding.
Which curling club?
The Whippy Curling Club.
Okay, amazing. Because shout out to Mike Epple, the only guy I can think of off the top of my head living in Whitby. But amazing. So congrats on that.
Thanks.
So that's recent.
Yeah, it was just in December.
So like, what came first, the marriage or the pregnancy?
The pregnancy, technically.
Well, technically is I need to know these things. Think of me like a doctor. So
yes, exactly.
Would the marriage have happened without the pregnancy?
Yes.
So that's a very personal question.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm down to talk about it. Let's bear all.
So you were. So is this who are you married to? You don't have to give a first name, maybe.
No, my partner's name is Mick, and he's great.
You're with Mick Jagger.
Yeah.
Oh my God, this is like his 23rd kid.
I know, and I just figured I'd add my name to the list.
Well, you're both rock legends, so it makes sense to me. So Mick
is in a band, although he doesn't do. He does a lot of other things as well. But his band is called the Bare Minimum, and they're a Toronto punk band, and they're so sick. So
that's cool. Okay, so how did you meet Mick?
I think actually because I lived with Devin and Gina, and through that,
did I know that? Is that how?
I'm not sure. It was like around.
Like sometimes I know people, but I don't know they're connected. Like that's exciting to me because I am I think I have a crush on Devin and Gina.
Yeah, for sure. They give me bi panic.
Okay, yeah. Like, I'm into these Altered by Mom people, and you were living with them.
Yeah. During, I think it was mostly 2019 until
pre-pandemic.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Exactly.
What neighborhood?
It was in Little Italy, so like Euclid.
Okay, so the taste of Italy is happening tonight.
Oh, is it?
Yeah, and this weekend, this is a great event. And I'm shouting it out because I know there's a Palma Pasta booth or whatever. And honestly, if you're going to Taste of Italy, which you should because it's a great like street party, you need to get like the meatball sandwich or like in a brio or something. You need to pick up some Palma Pasta. They're going to be there. And there's going to be like a pasta eating contest on the weekend that Palma Pasta is sponsoring. Could I send you home, Skye Wallace, with a frozen lasagna? Would you take a frozen lasagna from Palma Pasta?
I would sooner die than not take a Palma.
Because you're pregnant.
Lasagna.
You're eating for two.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I would be honored.
Mick doesn't get any of that lasagna.
No, exactly. He's away tonight, so I'm going to...
So how did you meet Mick again? I feel like I got detoured. But...
No, through just like hangs at the communal household.
And... like, was there an engagement?
Kind of. It was like during the pandemic. I asked him. I was like, "This feels right. Let's do it." And then a couple of years.
Mick's a lucky man. Is Mick gonna listen to this episode?
I hope so. Yeah.
Honestly, I got to check out this punk band, this Toronto punk band.
Yeah, they're called the Bare Minimum.
Okay. I feel like I've heard this name, but then again, I'm not cool enough to know some of these cool bands or whatever. But I think I only saw Altered by Mom. I'm trying to think. I think I met them because they did like an Elma combo thing, and I went there to see Ron Hawkins.
Oh yeah.
Like this is my memory. This is going back now a bit.
I was at that show. It was the Unplugged North thing, right?
Did you play?
No.
Okay, I did see you there.
Yeah.
Yes, I did. Okay, so Roddy Colmer invited me to that thing.
Roddy's the best,
and that's how I met Altered by Mom. So like, I don't get out to these clubs and find out these bands unless they get connected to some legacy band I'm going to see. Like I discovered you through Lowest of the Low.
That's right. Yeah.
And we, just to pick it up, we had our first chat in July 2019.
Wow.
Do you have fond memories of your first visit?
Definitely. I feel like I can see the picture that we took together afterwards in my mind's eye.
We're going to take another one?
Yeah, of course.
Like my arm, I don't know if my arm is long enough to take a selfie that gets your belly in the
We'll do it higher, like MySpace cred shot,
I do my best.
Yeah.
I need one of those.
Scene kid.
Yeah, I need some. But that episode was episode 491.
Wow.
Mike chats. I know that's weird, right? Like before we hit 500. So, because it does feel recent to me that Skye Wallace was in the basement, but now I see that's 6 years ago.
That's 6 years ago, isn't that wild?
Yeah, it's like baby Skye. Okay.
Yeah.
Mike chats with Skye Wallace about her critically acclaimed third album, being a... What was the name of that album?
Okay, so there's a lot of different opinions about how many albums I've had, because technically there's more than what is available online.
Right.
So which one do you mean? The one that came out in 2022
What were you
or
promoting in
2024?
July 2019?
Oh, that one. That would have been my self-titled.
Okay,
That's
Skye
right.
Wallace. Okay.
2019.
Being a Canadian independent musician, are you still a Canadian independent musician?
Yeah, I've gone through like a couple of different changes as far as like, different labels and things. I'm still with my management, Tiny Kingdom, and though we are working together in like a label context, but kind of like a very independent, like we're kind of going in together as like three, partners in the situation, all very indie ourselves. Okay. So it's great. I just talked to them before I came here. So
Skye's you're happy.
I'm happy.
But are you happy with where things are with your music? We're going to play new music and we're going to get to music. We're still kind of catching up here.
Yeah.
It's been 6 years, Skye.
Yeah, literally.
Well, I bumped into you quite a bit because I bumped into you very recently at the Garrison.
That's right. The Tragically Hip Bookie tribute.
Yeah. I was at that. Stephen Stanley put that on with Elliot Lefko. Mm-hmm. Two Sweethearts.
Two Sweethearts.
And what Tragically Hip song did you sing that night?
I did Grace 2. I love that song. It's my favorite.
Did you do? But you used the real lyrics. You said, "I'm fabulously rich." Like that's the lyric, right? But on Saturday Night Live, Gord says, "I'm tragically hip." Like he messed up. This is like a famous thing in like Canadian rock history. Is that he messed up the opening lyric because he was pretty nervous to be on Saturday Night Live.
I mean, I think it was a great branding choice.
I agree. Like I think that's how we should sing it from now on.
Absolutely.
So I'll finish the description, I realize, and then I got to get back to the Garrison here. We're going to jump around a bit. Shout out to House of Pain. But we also had you play live. Like you actually played live in this studio back in July 2019. And you kicked ass. I'm sure I have video of that. I definitely have audio because it's in that episode. But we chatted for like 90 minutes.
Yeah, I remember that. Yeah. No, that was great. I wasn't sure if I should bring my guitar today, but it was, it's kind of hot and cumbersome on the PC.
Yeah, look, I think in your state, if you get too excited,
my state.
You're only 7 months. Okay,
yeah, exactly.
We got to hang on a bit here. I'm worried that performing, but you're still performing, right?
Yeah, big time. It's been great. I've had a very blessed experience, to be honest. Okay,
we're gonna get to the current state of things in just a moment. But how did you get involved in the Dave Bookman tribute? We had to bring non-perishable food items for the Daily Bread Food Bank. How did you get involved in the hip cover event I watched at the Garrison?
Well, I was part of the first one that they did with the Replacements. That was the Replacements tribute, right. And it was Stephen Stanley was the one who initially got me on board, and that was just super fun. And honestly, I'm just far more familiar with the Tragically Hip than I am with the Replacements.
Well, most people are in this country.
Yeah, exactly. And like I opted to do like a little solo acoustic thing for the last one, and this time to do it with the full band of like the just like the heavyweights that are on stage as the house band for that show is.
Ian Blurton was in that.
Ian Blurton, Jody Knight, Anna. And Judd, those two. Right. Wonderful.
No, great house band. Queen. And you did Grace 2.
Yeah.
And it was great to see you there.
Yeah. It was a weird day. I had just had a friend pass away that day. So I was pretty like messed up. But I was like, should I do this? Should I cancel? But like, what am I going to do otherwise? I'm going to go home and cry a little bit. I mean, like my friend was a performer. They performed with me a lot. And I don't think that would make sense to them. So, I felt a little bit of them on stage.
Oh, I'm sorry to hear this. Like, I had no idea.
It was like, of all the songs to do, it was a pretty cathartic one to be like screaming and it's just so guttural and reactive and in the body. So I think, if it was something like Long Time Running where it's really sad, or if it was something like Blow It High Dough, might not have fit. Yeah, exactly. Right. It might not have been like the vibe for me that day, but for some, it just really worked. And I was like, I don't know, I'm just going to do it.
Okay, so Alan Gregg was on this show earlier this year, and he was with Jake Gold. I saw Jake at that event.
Oh, nice! Yeah, he was there.
So they were I believe it was the Management Trust, I think was the name of it, but they were managing the Tragically Hip.
That's right.
And the Watchmen, who I'm going to see tomorrow.
Ooh, yeah! I just saw their their little name over there on the picture.
Oh yeah,
because
that's right. That's a gift from the Watchmen that Brian Linehan would be proud of me.
Oh,
so there you go.
nice.
So I'm going to see them tomorrow at the Danforth Music Hall, which I'm pretty jazzed about. But Alan Gregg says when the band delivered their new album, Day for Night, which has Grace 2 on it, and it has Nautical Disaster, he basically sent it back and said, this isn't finished. Like he needed a single. Like
Right.
Alan Gregg was rather unhappy with, because they're coming off Fully Completely, right?
Yeah.
Which had like, I don't know how many mega Canadian rock singles that we all know by heart, right?
Yeah.
And he felt it was unfinished. And the band, of course, with their integrity, wasn't going to like change a note. They said, no, this is done. But that was kind of an interesting revelation from Alan Gregg.
Yeah, definitely. And I do think that, I mean, that's a common thread as well with, I think it was the SNL where they chose to do Grace 2, which was a little bit of a left turn from what, typical, because they're trying to break into the States and that's so hard to do. But from a typical American audience to have like an intro into the band, that's a tough sell unless you're really, I don't know. It's just not
Skye,
what
I'm with
to
you.
expect.
I remembered it real time here because I've got many, many decades on you. I remember distinctly thinking, oh my God, they're playing the two lead singles from the new album, which is what they would do if they were on some Canadian show or something, right? We're going to play our new single because we're promoting a new album. But because it was Saturday Night Live and America, well, the bulk of America had yet to embrace the hip like we had, you'd think they might do something like, I would say, do something like New Orleans is Sinking.
Sure.
And maybe, I don't know, Courage or Locked in the Trunk of a Car, something from Fully Completely, maybe. Like you'd think give a couple of big bangers just to say, hey, this is the Tragically Hip. Dive into the catalog and catch up on what you missed.
But I kind of love that they didn't.
Yeah.
I love their career. I love their, this cult following that they've had in Canada. Honestly, like a career that I aspire, after. I'm sure we all do. But just like, I think there's so many different variations of success. And I think in this global situation that we're in, everything's on the global stage now. I think it's really important to like, I don't know, focus on the other opportunities there are to be successful and to be sustainable as well. It's like, maybe it is just here. You don't have to always be pushing to break into the States. You don't have to, you can. And I think there's a lot of merit to that. But I think there's just so many ways to exist and subsist in the arts world.
But I can imagine it's tough for a non-legacy artist like yourself playing rock and roll music in this country. Like it's got to be tough because I kind of alluded to it earlier. Like I discover bands because I go to see like bands I loved in the 90s. Like this is where I'm at. So I feel like the rock's not dead, obviously, but in terms of a mass commercial appeal, it feels like everything is the old legacy acts. It seems tough for newer rock acts to break through and cut through that noise.
Definitely. And that comes from, radio. There's fewer and fewer spots left for newer bands to be added to things like that. That's still a marker for things like, how your ticket sales are, thus what festivals you get into, what kind of, stages you get to play and things like that. And so, streams are also it's just another beast that are, it's very hard to figure out the right the right angle, and sometimes it's just a matter of having label money and label connections, and that's really hard to parse as well because are you trying to fit somewhere, and then is your music reflecting you trying to fit somewhere and all that. So I think that's kind of something that I've gone through. I know a lot of artists in my kind of sphere have gone through, and I'm kind of at the point where I don't want to do that exactly anymore. I want to do whatever it is that I want to do.
Well, you're an artist.
Yeah. I don't want to figure out how to make that sustainable because I plan to do this for my whole life. And I think that's where this sexy preggy thing kind of comes all full circle, is because I felt like I was running away, or at least putting it off for so long, is this idea of like I've always wanted a family. And I feel like it was a competing vision for where my life could go with music, because it's like, well, you have to choose one or the other. It's like, I'm not going to, and I'm going to keep touring, and I'm going to keep doing this because I commit myself to it.
Well, since you brought it up again, and I do like how these words string together. Okay, so your sexy preggy iced tea chug era. Okay, don't cringe when I say that. You wrote those words. Okay?
Yeah, listen.
I thought it was pretty accurate because I follow you on social media, so I'm seeing the pics, right? And that's kind of a good descriptor. Like you're pregnant and you're feeling beautiful, and you're kind of like, it's Can I say this? I hope not. I can say
yeah.
Mick won't be upset. A sexier Skye, like you're sort of letting your sex appeal. You're putting it on display in a manner that you haven't really historically done.
Totally.
And then you can tell us how iced tea. I know how I have a song loaded up called Iced Tea. But all of this maybe speak to like this era as you describe it. And shout out to Taylor Swift, who was at the Panthers game last night. Do you follow hockey?
Not really. I follow it when the Leafs have a chance.
So you don't follow much playoff hockey, is what you're telling me.
No, sorry. Only when
I'm in a similar boat, but I'm married to an Oilers fanatic. So
oh damn.
I am, but no, not damn, because I gotta say, last night the Panthers were up 3-0 in the first period, and I declared, put a fork in it. This season is done. The Panthers are repeating the Stanley Cup champions because they were going to go up 3-1, and I figured they're going to close it out. What a great team! I said those words, Skye. Put a fork in it. Okay. Fast forward at the end of the second period, I'm like, oh my god, they came back. It is 3-3. The Oilers won in overtime.
Oh my God.
Yeah. So now the series is now a best of 3, and Edmonton's got home ice advantage. So it was completely turned from, I literally was shouting out Ridley Funeral Home, getting the shovel. We're burying the 2025 Oilers. I was so confident at 3-0 in the first that this series was done. And now, you know what I think right now? I think the Oilers are going to win the Stanley Cup.
Damn.
See, but that's a 180.
Yeah, literally. Yeah.
Literally a 180 in like the span of like a couple of hours. And that's, so I'm coming off that high.
Yeah, okay.
But so back to Taylor Swift.
At the Panthers game.
At the Panthers game.
Panthers at Oilers.
With the great ones and her boyfriend from the Kansas City Chiefs, Travis Kelce. And they're there in the box or whatever. And I'm only bringing her up because she's like the Eras person. So can you speak a little more to like how you're feeling in this era for this album and this decision to kind of be sexy preggy? Yeah.
I mean, I think, so when I wrote Iced Tea, it was part of the record that just came out in 2024, like the November album called The Act of Living, which was all about like death and cycles and rebirth that I did with Hawksley Workman.
Hawksley Workman. Let's get back to Hawk.
Yeah, absolutely.
I want to ask you about my buddy Hawk.
Yes, absolutely. And that was one that didn't quite go on the record. There were a few things we wanted to do with it still, so we held it back. And when I was writing it, it was kind of the first song that I was writing after kind of, I was in another album cycle that I was definitely trying to fit into certain places. And I think there's a certain amount of doing that where it's like you have to try. You have to, maybe I can get here, and if I can get this, like if I can make something that fits in this like radio sphere, maybe I can make enough money to like do the next thing. So it's just a matter of like trying, like trial and error, sustainability practice. And I was left feeling very just kind of void of artistic inspiration and who I was as an artist. Not in, I think that's bound to happen. I think that's how this industry operates, is that, you give your all and then you need to recuperate to fill the cup back up. And so my cup wasn't full yet. And I felt very, not bitter for sure, but like definitely aware of me not wanting to give everything of myself to the quote unquote like industry standards of where I want to be. I kind of wanted to carve out my own path, and I recognized that. And so I wrote it about, feeling like I'm, being aging in the industry from like a young, pretty girl kind of thing into like my 30s, and not wanting to fit like confines that are prescribed kind of randomly sometimes by an industry that is always changing and doesn't really know necessarily what's going on, but acts like they do.
Yeah, I guess if you're mid-30s, you're considered a geriatric pop star. Is that correct?
Kind of, yeah.
Does your OBGYN call it a geriatric pregnancy?
Not anymore. They've switched that term.
Okay, yeah. They switched it because I have 4 kids.
Yeah.
And at least one of my children, I believe the most recent one, my wife was over 35. She might have been like 35. But the OBGYN called it a geriatric pregnancy. And I remember thinking, oh my goodness, like 35.
35, yeah. They call it a mature pregnancy now. And honestly, my family doctor was like, we kind of bumped it up a few years too. So 35.
Yeah, because a lot of women are having babies in their mid 30s now, because they work on their career first, and it's not like the olden days. You had to bang those out in your early 20s.
Exactly. So when now that I am pregnant, I was able to see this song through a whole new light. It kind of took on a whole new meaning, especially given, just not that they're the only beliefs out there, but, beliefs that wriggle themselves in there for sure into your way of thinking of when I see a pregnant person, goodbye, I'll see you in a few years, or not at all ever again, kind of thing, you know? And I've had just so many little comments come in and be like, oh, this isn't something that I can do and have music persist at the same time. And I just really didn't want to do that anymore. And so the decision to have a family while also making the commitment to keep going forward was part of this whole, charade, I guess, of the sexy preggy thing.
It's like a pivot of sorts, right?
Kind of.
And for those who haven't seen these social media posts, etc., but you're in a bikini,
oiled up.
Yeah, oiled up in a bikini, pouring iced tea. It's not beer, right? No, nope. That's not Great Lakes beer. That's iced tea. That's important because the song's about iced tea. Yeah. But you're definitely pregnant, and you're definitely bikini clad, and it's a different style.
Yeah, it's a little bit oh, look, I'm all dolled up and I'm doing everything I'm supposed to do, but I'm also doing it the way I'm not supposed to. And it's am I doing it right now? And it's my friends Goodnight Sunrise. I don't know if you've come across them.
They've been over.
Of course 100%. They have.
In fact,
it makes sense.
I think I might have saw that same night, maybe that same night I saw Altered by Mom. I saw Goodnight Sunrise.
Oh, nice.
Possibly.
Yeah.
I definitely was at a Rusty show that...
Oh, they played a Rusty show?
Yeah, and I definitely saw her at a Rusty show.
I'm not sure if you were at the album release in 2019 too, but I think they played either that one or one right after that at the Horseshoe with us.
I'm not sure I was there that particular night, but ran into Goodnight Sunrise a couple of times and had them over.
Oh, awesome. That makes total sense. Love them. Been friends for a long time. And I think that was part of the discourse that they kind of came in on with the stuff, was that it'll never be enough. You can put in literally everything that you have to give and it still won't be enough. So might as well take the power into your own hands and give it everything that you want to give instead of everything that you absolutely have to give. And so that's kind of part of this whole over the top visuals that I'm doing on social media.
Okay,
there they are.
I'm going to cross promote. There's the Toronto Tree.
Just put out an amazing new record.
And I see I need a haircut in this pic, but I also need a haircut in real life. In fact, I
like the vibe.
Well, I scheduled a haircut. I hate to disappoint you, Skye, with FOTM Andy the barber for Monday.
Oh,
so,
okay.
But I like it now. I actually was...
It's got good loft.
It was Ron Hawkins who said to me, Mike, if you can grow it, you should show it. Like he said in this basement, he said those words. And I had
the hair king himself.
I had an epiphany. I was wearing it. I see, because every day I look at On This Day and I put it on Blue Sky. Okay.
Yeah.
And I can see if I recorded 8 years ago, my hair's like George Clooney in ER, right? It's really tight, close to the skull or whatever. And then Ron said those words to me and I'm like, yeah, I have
got good hair.
I have good hair. Thank you. And I'm why am I doing so now? When I get a haircut, which I'm going to get Monday, it's really the back and sides that I
know what you mean.
Take down, but I still keep a good chunk of hair to grab on top.
That's good, especially having that loft. Honestly, it's people kill for that.
Well, that's now that I know it makes some people jealous. I need to keep it going.
Exactly. So that's what I tell my dad. He's got a crazy hair. It's amazing.
Yeah, make people jealous. So, Goodnight Sunrise. They were over here in February 2023.
Wow.
So I'll read the description I wrote at the time. In this 1203rd episode of Toronto Mike chats with David and Vanessa of Goodnight Sunrise about their music, opening for Bon Jovi at the ACC, the challenges in getting radio play. I'm going to ask you about that in a second. Maybe I'll do it right now. And the missing comma. I guess there was supposed to be a comma, good night.
There was at a time, and they decided to change their name
Right.
around that time, I think, because a lot of the time with something like SOCAN, and I know this from just having this conversation with them, SOCAN would see that as because they put, if you're an individual songwriter, your last name, comma, first name, and so
Wallace, comma, Skye.
Yeah, exactly. So sometimes with those like kind of archival situations, it would be like good night sunrise, but then sometimes sunrise good night, because they would swap it automatically, just like, the system would be like, that's a last name. And so they were like tired of that, and also just like, let's remove the punctuation or whatever.
Well, they got rid of that comma.
Yeah, they did. They are really cool. They just always speak their mind. We met at Dawson City Music Festival in 2018, and we fell in love.
Isn't that funny though, that you're based in Toronto, and they're based in Toronto, and then you're meeting in Dawson City?
Oh, isn't that always the case? I feel like whenever I go to especially like international stuff, like if you're at an international conference
Right.
or festival, like you're hanging out with a lot of Canadians.
Well, now it reminds me, Amy Milan has new solo material. And she's from Etobicoke. Like, she went to Etobicoke School of the Arts.
Oh, no
and
way.
She's from here. But I know this because my daughter lives in Montreal. And like for a while, my daughter lived on the same street as Amy Milan in Montreal. But Sam Roberts is forever a Montreal guy.
Yeah.
And when Sam Roberts made his Toronto Mic debut and was sitting down here, I had secretly arranged for Amy Milan to I kept the door ajar, and she came in and surprised Sam on the air. But I found it interesting that these two people both live in Montreal.
Yeah.
But they hadn't seen each other in a long time, and they were going to reunite here in South Etobicoke. Like, that's sort of like meeting Goodnight Sunrise and befriending them in Dawson. And say, by the way,
Yeah.
I'm remembering now this chat because we were talking about the now defunct band Mono Whales.
Oh, yeah.
So Mono Whales no more, but Mono Whales would get airplay on, for example, Indie 88.
Like crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah. They really did it.
And it's now I think I said this to Altered by Mom, but Mono Whales are defunct. So there is a CanCon rock void for a new, you know what I mean? Like
There is, but there also is just fewer and fewer spots. You know what I mean? Like even Indie 88's, I don't know. I feel like there's just always kind of like shifts happening.
I think they've broadened their playlist to a point where they're more likely to fill that spot possibly with, I don't know, Bruce Cockburn or something.
Yeah. I mean, I think that's a lot of radio stations. I mean, it's just, there's not a lot of space for risk.
Like they'll just stick an Alanis Morissette song in there that they know people dig rather than
Yeah.
a new thing by Skye Wallace.
Yeah, which I understand because it's like, yeah, like they're also combating like a major shift in the industry. So it's like it is a scary prospect.
You can understand, but that does suck when you think
For
about
sure.
it. Because by the way, today is the 30th. Let's get the right year. Today is the 30th anniversary of the release of Jagged Little Pill.
I did not know that. That's sick.
I'm here with the fun facts. So that was 30 years ago today.
Wow.
And that album, which was huge, very, very a massive album. I think Blair Packham was here the other day. We were talking about it.
Cool.
But I believe in Indie 88, which I'm a fan of Indie 88 because my buddy's on that station 8 days a week. So shout out to Bob Willett, who I'm going to see on June 26th. Remind me to get back to that date because I'm going to invite you to something as well.
Oh, okay.
But I believe with the broadening of this playlist, as they try to go after Boom, for example, and Boom is more likely to, Boom's not going to play a new song by Skye Wallace because they're all about like 70s, 80s, and 90s or whatever. But Indie trying to get a chunk of that pie because Boom has been done very well, and Indie's had a surge in the ratings with this strategy, but they are more likely to play for CanCon, play a Alanis Morissette song than they are to go find the next Mono Whales.
Yep, for sure. Because that was really working, and it was really working because the music rocked and because it was like the thing that people really reacted to, and it's great, and I love that band. I love the people in it, and that it's a funny thing. Yeah, it's not like
but Alanis
doesn't
need the attention,
the spins. Yeah, there are a lot of really supportive channels on Sirius XM that exclusively do Canadian content. Like,
so I was going to ask you, where in the world of radio, terrestrial or satellite, would they spin a Skye Wallace? Because you're excellent. Like, I say this with a tinge of bias, of course, because I like you personally and you've been over. But I'm going to play a couple of songs by Skye Wallace in a minute. I don't know if you know her, but fantastic. Like, to my ears, I just love it.
Thank you.
So where would you hear Skye Wallace in 2025 on any radio station?
It's playing pretty regularly, at least once a day on Sirius XM The Verge, which is great. And they've been very supportive in the past. There's been like some radio stations like in Buffalo, in Yellowknife, in like West Coast. There's a couple around Ontario on the East Coast, just kind of like places that I've been able to tour and travel to, and people that I've made connections with, because we didn't do like a radio campaign for this song because it's expensive. It's gotta.
Can you speak to that a bit? Like, I feel like that's the role of Toronto Mike, just to sort of peel back the curtain.
Yeah, definitely.
So what does that mean? Because in a minute I'm going to play the song Iced Tea, and then we are going to talk about FOTM Hawk.
Yeah. Sounds great.
What do you mean it's expensive to promote a song and get a song on radio?
To get like a radio, what's the term? Sorry. If you have
like to get onto their playlist?
No, it's like you hire a person who is
like
going
an
around.
AR person?
Yeah, it's like a radio specific. There's a term for it, and I can't believe
I'll Google the term while you tell me about it.
Yeah, exactly. So you're basically hiring someone to do a full campaign specifically to radio, and it costs like $5,000 a song or something like that. A radio service
promoter,
service, like you're getting it serviced to radio, basically.
Okay,
so it's someone to go. So these vouch,
are to me you're describing gatekeepers. Right? Because you as an artist, a fiercely independent musician, you should be able to submit your songs or be at least considered for radio play.
I think you still
without
can.
that pain like that. It sounds like The Sopranos.
Yeah.
Like, hey, nice song you got here. It would be a shame if something happened to it. Right?
Yeah. I mean, it's also like, because you still can do that, and the door is still open, and it's like I do agree with you. I do agree with you.
Like it's got a tinge of payola to it.
Yeah, I mean, it's also like the grant system is such that money then gets because it's like factors from the radio, and then you're given a certain amount for radio ads. That is the only part of the. I don't. It's a tricky thing because you don't want to be like super critical of the powers that be if you're still able to. But I'm also like. Yeah, that is the case.
But if you don't speak up, who will? Like, I feel like...
I think everybody's pretty on the same page about where the granting system is at. Because, like, things like like those radio ads that I mentioned, like everything else covered by factor is covered up to 75%. But then you have to pay the extra 25, which sounds great. But it is like you end up putting in like 10 grand of your own money.
Well, how do you make money, Skye? Like, you got a child coming, you're living with a... punk rocker?
Yeah.
Does he have a day job?
He does. And I'm very lucky to, I'm at a point where this last little while, especially with full band touring, like you just break even. That's the best that you can kind of
hope for. If you don't bleed out, if it doesn't cost you too much money, you can afford to do what you love, which is perform your art.
Yeah, for sure. And like things like being on Sirius XM help with things like rent. So I'm able to kind of subsist. But it's also like, I have my grants in for the next record that's going to be, I'm going to undertake early 2026, I guess, once I'm like healed from being split in half. And, I just want to like kind of keep that.
What's the due date, by the way?
August 11th.
Well, that's coming.
Yeah, just under 2 months.
Okay.
Today, yeah. It's crazy. But yeah, that's just like, I think there are certain things that I'm tweaking to be a bit more sustainable, including like more grassroots style touring, because I want to be able to be a bit more fluid, adaptable.
Do you do that thing where a fan can hire you to play their like backyard?
Absolutely.
Or their living room?
In fact, that's kind of how I started, was the house show circuit, and I do a lot of things solo. That's how I used to do things, is like do a lot of solo shows to supplement doing everything else. And actually that's how I broke into like a European market. That's how I just go there and I do all the like, the recon solo, when it doesn't have to like cost me an arm and a leg, and I actually could make money. So I'm looking forward to kind of exploring the grassroots side of things, because it is a really good connective tissue with the audience as well. You're actually like interacting heart to heart with people in a space who care about the music and want to be there.
No, absolutely. So what I want to do is I'm itching to play Iced Tea.
Play it!
And then I want to talk Hawk with you.
Yeah.
But first I need to invite you and the listeners and Mick, okay? By the way, do you know the gender of this baby?
Yeah, it's a little boy.
Like, have you? Because I've been there. I'm getting nice memories thinking about it.
Yeah.
Like, did you name this baby yet?
We want to see him first,
Okay.
Yeah, but we've got a list going.
Okay. Is one of those names Mike?
Toronto Mike, actually.
Could you
All one
imagine?
word.
Could you imagine? I would be so honored. Okay, so we're gonna kick this out, but I want you to mark this date. Okay, Skye?
Okay.
June 26th. That's only a couple of weeks from now. It's a Thursday, so less than 2 weeks, I suppose. But that Thursday night from 6 to 9 p.m., we're having TMLX 19. This is the 19th Toronto Mike listener experience. And we're all going to collect, like listeners, yourself, FOTMs, we're going to collect at Great Lakes Brewery, which is 30 Queen Elizabeth Boulevard, down the street from the Costco in South Etobicoke here, not far from like Royal York and Queensway. So we're going to meet at Great Lakes Brewery, 6 p.m., June 26th. Not only now, Skye, I'm guessing you're not drinking a lot of beer right now.
Not drinking a lot of beer.
Okay.
No.
Is Mick drinking any beer?
Sure, yeah.
Okay,
absolutely.
so I'm sending you home a fresh craft beer from Great Lakes Brewery.
Thank you.
Mick will thank me at TMLX 19 because you're going to get your first beer on the house on at TMLX 19 as well. So
Great
Lakes will buy you a beer unless you're 7 months pregnant.
They might have a non-alcoholic version.
You know, you can have a little bit, you know.
Yeah, exactly. You can have a little.
It's all about sips here and there is
Exactly.
fine. It's not going to do anything. Okay. But I'm not a doctor, so no one take my advice, please. Please. I don't want Lauren Honickman calling me after this episode. Mike, you can't give medical advice to pregnant women on Toronto Mike. Okay. But Palma Pasta is going to feed everybody. So come hungry. You can eat some delicious Italian food. Check out what they got at Palma Pasta. And I told you earlier, I do have a large lasagna for you in my freezer.
Yeah.
So you got all these instructions. I'll give you the rest of the gifts later, but let's get to some iced tea. I like that sound right there. This is taking me back to the 90s a little here.
Tinkling clock on the wall, zoom in on the faded figure. People fancy and a dead toe tag with a handful of bitchin'. Too long here on a long chair. Don't you wanna take a sip of iced tea? Please me. Drink up falls out of fashion. Iced tea. Please me. Break up the ice inside. Take a fork, actuates, release the burden. Riddle time feed. You'll never make it in this business, man. Planning around Chinatown, downtown, keep just sizzling. Days are gone on the lawn. How long has your heart been whittling? Sun glare, sitting on a long chair. Take a sip before you dry out under it. Iced tea, please me. Drink it up, dark as the night. Iced tea, please me. You'll never make it in this business.
Is that you?
Oh, God.
Who's playing that?
That's Ryan Dahl of Limb Lifter, Age of Electric, etc.
Where's my remote control?
Exactly.
I like Limb Lifter too.
Yeah. What a band. They're so cool.
Iced tea, please me. Drink up before it all goes under.
See, now I'm thirsty.
Excellent.
I just realized it's iced tea.
Yep.
I just realized what you're doing here, Skye. It's like all the pieces are now fitting together in my head in real time. I'm going to share with you, okay?
Yes.
Sloan. Are you a Sloan fan?
Big Sloan fan.
Good for you. I love Sloan too.
Yeah.
Sloan just recently cashed in a certain Ice-T product is
Did
using
they?
Money City Maniacs in a
Oh,
big campaign.
sick.
Okay, Coca-Cola owns this. It's called Fuse
Fuse.
Ice-T. Okay,
Yeah.
I think that's where the money is for artists like you. You know,
Yeah.
This song Ice-T. I need to hear this. Who's the rival for Fuse? It'll be like Skye versus Sloan in the Ice-T wars of the summer of 2025.
I mean, there was a brand, I don't know if it's still in production, but there was a brand from, I think, like Manitoba and Saskatchewan that a few people told me about, including Ryan Dahl, who was just playing on that track. Apparently, he was like hopped up on this particular brand of iced tea when he was like writing a bunch of the Lynn Lister early stuff. It's called Good. Oh, frig. I might have to look it up on my phone.
No, I'll do it. I'll look it up
Okay.
here in a minute. Tell me about how you got hooked up with Hawksley Workman.
It was wild because I'm such a fan of his, and we've had some interactions just like online, and like I sometimes play with his longtime drummer for live stuff, Brad Kilpatrick. So we kind of had some, mutuals, and he reached out randomly just in my DMs and was like, "Hey, I see you do co-writes and I like your stuff."
He
and I
just
would like
slid into
to-"
your DMs, the Hawk.
Yeah, we followed each other, and I was like, "Yeah, let me check my calendar, Hawksley Workman, to see if I can write with you." So I went up to his spot in Peterborough, and it was just like we ended up writing just a crazy song, and then we just got together again. We wrote another crazy song. We ended up writing like 4 songs, and I was like, "Can you?" Like, let's do this. Can you produce my new record that these songs would be on? He's like, "No, you should do it." And I was like, "No, let's do it together." And he was like, "Sounds good." So we did the whole record
collab.
together.
So
yeah.
Hawk knows this, but he's one of my all-time favorite FOTMs.
Oh,
like we just hit
I
it
don't
off
blame ya.
instantly. I've been trying to get him back in the basement ever since. We did a bunch of Zooms, but Hawk, get your ass over here next time you're in town, okay? But yeah, and we'll talk about iced tea when I get him on. I'm going to name some popular brands,
Okay.
and I don't know if here's the popular brands, and I need to do further research. Lipton, sorry.
Yeah.
Okay. Arizona, Pure Leaf, Gold Peak, Snapple, Honest Tea, and then there's one called Good Drink. But none of those are ringing a bell for you, is it?
No. I mean, it's specific apparently to the Canadian prairies. So it's
Well,
very
and
specific.
it's not Good Drink, you're telling me.
No, it's not. It's not Good Drink.
Okay,
What is
because
it?
for iced tea brands that are well liked in Manitoba, consider Good Drink and Good Host.
Good
Both-
Host. Good Host.
Okay,
Good Host.
they're both
the
brewed
same?
and bottled in Canada.
Okay.
If they're not the same, I think we need to get Lauren Honigman involved, and there
Yeah.
might be a trademark suit.
Okay,
yeah.
so I can see like the good host is like the powdered one that you'd always get, you know? It was like
Oh, I see it on Amazon right
yeah,
now.
Yeah.
It's out of stock,
This was the
unfortunately. That's how
one.
popular it is. Okay,
Yeah.
here it is. So
Yeah, Good Host. That's the
okay.
one.
Original iced tea. By the way,
Yeah.
iced tea. They're all saying iced tea, but you
And
go
it's
with iced tea.
Yeah.
Because iced tea is the wrapper.
Yeah, exactly. I don't know. I just felt like the irreverent, like, I know it's iced tea. Nowadays, that's the only ice I fuck with.
I like that. You should have put that in the only podcast I fuck with is
Yeah.
Toronto Mike.
Exactly. You heard it here first.
So you're going to be in Etobicoke June 26th, if I have my way. Obviously,
Yes.
I can't control where
Yes.
you go. But I just want to shout out, here's another name. I believe that same night where I met all these bands, I feel like I met, maybe not. Maybe it's a different Cassie, actually. I think there might be multiple Cassie.
Oh, that was Cassie De Silva.
Yes.
Yeah.
Not Cassie Noble.
No, Cassie Noble. Also amazing. There's
Okay,
a
because
bunch
you're
of sweet
playing
Cassies.
in Whitby on June 25th.
Yeah. Shout out to Uncle Rob and JC. So
I met Uncle Rob
Oh,
that
you know
night.
Uncle Rob? He's my actual uncle.
Yes.
Yeah.
He was there like he's a big Skye. Every time I see you, he's there, like
He's
supporting
there,
you.
but he also has, he's at every Goodnight Sunrise show, every Lowest at the Low show. Like he is just,
But here's where I lost touch with lots of people like Uncle Rob. When I abandoned the app formerly known as Twitter. So I walked away not that long ago, but I walked away and I'm just doing what I used to do on X, I now do on Blue Sky.
Blue Sky's
But
great.
there were people like Uncle Rob that I would follow and interact with on X
Yeah.
they aren't using Blue
Yeah.
Sky. So he's a good example, Uncle Rob, of a person that I did feel like there was some engagement, and he was part of my sphere.
Yeah.
Uncle Rob.
I know he's on Threads, but
But
maybe.
I hated Threads, and I haven't
for sure.
logged into Threads in a long time.
Yeah, it's still the metaverse, which is not great. And I love Blue Sky for that reason. Maybe because that show on the 25th in Whitby is Uncle Rob's backyard, and built a stage. They get like
my
get like
God.
100 or something people out, and like there's a bar. There's like
Well, you know what? It's the venue that is listed is Phillips Fire Pit.
hell yeah.
So
That's the one.
that is his last name Phillips?
Rob Phillips, absolutely.
Oh my God,
JC
Skye.
Phillips, that's my aunt.
Okay.
Yeah, it's pretty good, and that's their opening for the season. And their band, the
Uncle
Blank
Rob's
Ends,
backyard
is opening
with
as
Cassie
well.
Noble.
Yeah.
Not to be confused with Cassie DeSilver, who I thought was great that night.
Amazing. Yeah, I love her.
Can I get these Cassies over together? They
Oh,
don't know each other, do
absolutely. I don't know actually. I don't know.
they? July 11th, though, people can see you at the Four Winds Music Fest.
That's right, up in Durham, Ontario.
Riverstone Retreat and other bands there. The Sadies, for example,
Yeah.
are playing that show.
I'm going to be doing a little guest appearance at the Strumbellas set the next day as well. You know, maybe we'll do a song or two.
Okay, you're going to do Iced Tea?
Well, I'm going to do it during my set, that's for sure. Probably not the Strumbellas set, but
I don't know why I said that. Of course you're going to join
I
your
wouldn't
set.
commandeer. But I love those guys. They're so
You know,
sweet.
in Iced Tea, you shout out Beast of Burden.
Mm-hmm.
That's because you're married to Mick Jagger.
Exactly. I just wanted to it was an Easter egg.
No, I enjoy it very much. Now I'm going to take this off in a side way, and then I'm going to, maybe I'll do this right now. Okay.
Yeah.
So, have you ever been to a Toronto Maple Leafs baseball game, not hockey, baseball game at Christie Pitts?
Can't believe I haven't.
Okay, well, I'm telling you now. I'm giving you a book. Okay. This book right here is yours, Skye Wallace. It's the history of Toronto Maple Leafs baseball. And I urge you to check out the action at Christie Pitts because it's a free event, no ticket required, high caliber baseball. There's a woman from Japan named Ayami Sato who's been pitching for the Leafs this year. And
So tight.
the crowd goes nuts when she goes to the mound to pitch. And I'm telling you, grab yourself a hot dog.
Yeah.
Mick can grab a Leafs lager, and it's the best value in this city. Toronto Maple
Amazing.
Leafs baseball.
Yeah, I will be. I can't believe I've gone because I was a bass player not baseball
Freudian
player.
slip.
Yeah, I was a Freudian slip. Baseball
What
player.
position
growing
did you
up.
play?
I was a pitcher for a while. I really liked third base and shortstop.
Like, this is baseball, not softball?
It was softball, so I did the
that's
underhand when I was pitching. But
right.
then I was kind of doing some. Anyway, it was a long time.
Okay, what could have been? You could have been an Olympian.
I could have been an Olympian.
Yesterday, Tom Harrington was over for his exit interview, and he talked about covering women's softball at the 96 Olympics in Atlanta.
Tight.
Like, that was a chat yesterday. And the
Cool.
day before, I got to say, happy birthday to Al Grego. He's 50 years old today, this guy. Al Grego. He's a cuddly guy. He's got a great beard. He's 50 today. And
Happy birthday.
Happy birthday, Al Grego from
my
Skye
gosh.
Wallace. That's amazing.
Big happy birthday.
2 days ago, Al was in this basement kicking out jams related to season 8 of Yes, We Are Open. And these are inspiring stories Al collected. He went to Regina, Saskatchewan. Have you ever been to Regina, Saskatchewan?
Oh, lots. I love that town.
I get mixed reviews from I
Really?
have because I asked that of all the musicians, and sometimes they're praising the city, sometimes they're not.
I love Regina. I love people from Regina. I have a really good friend group there, like just lots of pals who do cool music stuff. My drummer, Chris, is from there. Shout out to Chris Demas from Regina, Saskatchewan.
Amazing.
Yeah.
So Al went there to interview small business owners to collect their inspiring stories, and then this can all be found in season 8 of Yes, We Are Open. Got it.
Got it.
A podcast I want to tell you about is Building Toronto's Skyline, because we recorded 2 new episodes this morning. We got like what I call real talk on the condo industry. Do you live in a condominium, Skye Wallace?
I do not.
Okay, well, the development, this industry, it's essentially frozen right now.
Yeah.
Like, we're talking to people on the inside who have been in the industry for, decades. And this, I would call this swing from red hot market to ice cold market so suddenly is unprecedented in this city. And it's wild when you dig in and talk about what's happening with the condominium development industry and sales of new condos in the city of Toronto.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, surprise, surprise. Nobody wants to pay $1 million for a condo.
But there is a lot of inventory, a lot of inventory for, non-new, I guess, what do you call that? Used? I don't know, non-new condos.
non-new.
So we talk about this, the pros and
cool.
cons and where we're at with everything. Building Toronto's Skyline with Nick Ienes. And last but not least, I want to remind you about recyclemyelectronics.ca, because Skye, if you have old cables, old electronics, old devices,
God.
don't throw it in the garbage, okay?
No.
Those chemicals end up in our landfill. Go to recyclemyelectronics.ca, put in your postal code, and find out where you can drop it off to be properly recycled.
That's so smart.
Thank you. Although I'm just reading the script. Actually, I memorized that script years ago. So
You're
the
not
record
reading
show, I'm not reading anything.
Yeah.
But I am going to play a song that is by you. It's a live version of a song I quite like, and then I'm going to ask you about it, and then I'm going to pair it with a song that I absolutely loved in the 90s, and we'll talk about that. Are you ready for this
I'm ready.
double header? Here we
Yes,
go.
please.
We'll see if you recognize your own music.
How are you? How have you been? It's been a long time. Did we lose touch? You're struggling. You're buckling under the weight of it all. I've tried a million times to reach out, but I'm struggling myself, singing please. Where did I go wrong? Sifting sad for details and turn them into stone. I'm talking to myself, unraveling my mind and falling far behind. But everything is fine, everything is fine, everything is fine. I'm alive, just seems like time is slipping through my hands. And how are you? What should we do? Did you lose yourself? When did we lose ourselves like this? I've tried a million times to look in. The lights on, but I'm gone. Listen to me. Where did I go wrong? Sitting sad for details and turn them into stone. I'm talking to myself, unraveling my mind, falling far behind. But everything is fine, everything is fine. Everything it will be fine, 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 everything it will be fine. Singing please, where did I go wrong? Sifting sad for details and turn them into stone. Talking to myself, unraveling my mind, but everything is fine. Singing please, and where did I go wrong? Sifting sad for details and turn them into stone. I'm talking to myself, unraveling my mind, falling far behind. But everything is fine, everything is fine, everything is fine.
I feel like I should applaud.
Aw.
It sounds, to my ears, I can only speak for my ears. I don't know how other ears receive things. I think that sounds amazing.
Thank you. It's been a while since I've heard that, actually. That was kind of a treat.
And it's good in the headphones, right?
Yeah, it is.
So tell us like what that was. Everything is fine.
Yeah, so that was a song that came out, I think it was in like March 2022. that the song itself came out. And then I did like it was just like a content thing. My friend Cormac O'Brien, who was at 6 Shooter Records, which was my label at the time, they had me over and did just like a bunch of videos. It was just supposed to be for content, but then they were like, hey, this recording of the audio's
like that's
really
live
good
on the floor.
Yeah.
That's live on the floor, and it sounds so pristine.
Yeah, it was amazing. And it was just like, we didn't do anything super special or anything. It was just like a little thing.
And like it's naked.
Yeah,
right.
Totally.
But this, no AI required.
Yeah,
right? Like, there's
yeah.
no auto tuning required. Like that's just Skye Wallace with a guitar.
Yeah,
right?
for sure. Yeah, and it was kind of like it brings me back to my roots a little bit because I started as an acoustic solo artist, and it's something that I still go back to time and time again and plan to again in the future. So like it was apropos, and so we released that one as a live version, a nice little acoustic live version.
Because I know some listeners of Toronto Mike aren't sure who Skye Wallace is, and they probably haven't heard a lot of Skye Wallace. So remind me again, the new album's called Iced Tea.
The new album,
single's called Iced Tea.
The single's called Iced Tea, but the one that came out November 1st of last year, 2024, is called The Act of Living.
Act of Living. Okay.
Yeah.
And this is Everything is Fine. So can I just play an old song that's not yours and just ask you like what you think, and will you cover it for me?
Oh my God. Let's go.
Maybe bring a guitar to TMLX 19 and
Yes,
just do
yes.
the song. So here we go.
Mother, mother, how's the family? I'm just calling to say hello. How's the weather? How's my father? Am I lonely? Heavens no. Mother, mother, are you listening? Just a phone call to ease your mind. Life is perfect, never better. Distance making the heart grow blind. When you send me off to see the world, were you scared that I might get hurt? Would I try a little tobacco? Would I keep on hiking up my skirt? I'm hungry, I'm dirty, I'm losing my mind. Everything's fine. I'm freezing, I'm starving, I'm bleeding to death. Everything's fine. Yeah, I'm working.
Do you know this song?
It sounds familiar, but I don't know it, and I don't know who does it.
Because you're a puppy. Okay, so this is from 96. This is Tracy Bonham, and it's called Mother Mother, and 102.1 The Edge would play this song, and I just loved
It's
it.
sick.
Isn't it good?
I love it.
Like, I can't name another Tracy Bonham song, to be
No.
very honest with you, but this was all over the radio, and I instantly, like, just fell in love with this this banger here.
Like, what is going on with her voice? It's so sick.
But I'm pairing
love
it
it.
with you, because she's got this part, everything's fine.
Yeah.
Okay, everything's fine.
Yeah.
And then I'm thinking we pair it with your song.
Yeah. Is there a way of, like, having a mashup happen?
Interlope them or whatever.
Yeah.
So you could introduce like you could do some Tracy Bonham Mother Mother when you're doing Everything is Fine live. Like,
That's a good idea.
I'll leave that with you creative geniuses or whatever.
Yeah.
But I
Let
just
me
wondered, like,
pray on that.
a modern alt rock artist like yourself, how this sounds to your ears, because I
I'm hungry, I'm dirty, I'm losing my mind. Everything's fine. I'm freezing, I'm starving, I'm bleeding to death. Everything's fine. I miss you, I love you.
there you go. I just think you would kill with that
I
song.
love it. And like you said, it does have a very like 90s quality, but it also really pertains to like what's relevant, like as far as like especially the vocal delivery. That's something I'll say. Like I was listening to like Wolf Alice the other day, and they have this new song that really toes the line between this like gorgeous pristine vocal delivery and this like wretched one that she just like starts tearing her vocal cords apart, or like, you know, just like the turnstile effect that's out there right now. You know, there's this really beautiful through line of like gorgeous meets just like ragged that I really like. And I think that's something like that's a place I like to occupy for sure. So
Well,
like
listen,
that's very inspiring to me.
That's why you're in your sexy, preggy, iced tea chug era. Amazing. So I love this Skye. I just think you need to come more often than every 6 years.
I
Visit
agree.
More often
I
than every
agree.
6 years here. And gosh, you got married, so congrats on that.
Thank you.
You are with child.
Yes.
So that's coming this summer.
Yeah, coming this summer.
That's exciting.
Yeah.
Can you get tickets to go to Uncle Rob's backyard?
You sure can. I mean, it's open to the public, so
Is it
the
you gonna
floodgates are open.
pass around a hat or something?
Yeah, exactly,
Okay.
exactly.
I'm trying to only go to things I can bike to.
Yeah, that's legit.
So I can bike to Danforth Music Hall.
Yep.
It would take me a long time to bike to Whitby and back.
Yeah, that's a far.
But that sounds
Cry.
amazing. So tell Uncle Rob to buy a place in, I don't know, South Etobicoke or
Yeah, absolutely. I feel like, yeah, he'll just be like, oh, okay, yeah, I'll do that.
something. So thanks for visiting, Skye Wallace.
Thank you for having me. I love chatting with you.
Well, we're going to do this again.
Yes, please.
In 6 years' time. Put
Yes.
it in the calendar.
No. Let's cut it in half.
Everything is fine. Just keep
It's just
repeating that to
fine.
yourself. Don't look at the
Yeah.
world at large. Here's the trick. You got to go hyper local
You
at this
do.
time.
Yeah, it's micro. You got to look at
if you look out, which you'll say, oh, what happened in Iran last night? What's happening with Israel? What's happening in the Ukraine? What's happening in Russia? What's happening in LA, in the United States of America? Like if you look at that, it would be easy to like just instinctively like just dig a hole and like hide in it for 4 years or something like that and see if things improve. But you're creating beautiful art. You're going to create a beautiful baby. You've got created a beautiful life with punk rock Mick.
Yeah.
And you got to look community.
Yeah, you got to find hope where it exists in order to persist. And persist we must all in order to, access a future.
Make a song about that.
Yeah. Amen.
And that brings us to the end of our 1711th show. 711, my goodness. Go to torontomike.com for all your Toronto Mike needs. Much love to all who made this possible. Again, that's Great Lakes Brewery, Palma Pasta. Guys, get to TMLX 19 on June 26th. No ticket required there either. Just show up. Toronto Maple, look at this. You could be a pitch person. Toronto Maple Leafs Baseball, Moneris, RecycleMyElectronics.ca, Building Toronto Skyline, and Ridley Funeral Home. See you all next week. Oh yeah, you got your measuring tape. Next week, my guest will be, Samantha Martin.
Oh,
So tell me about Samantha real quick here.
what a voice. What a voice. I revere her. I don't know if we've ever
if you're
hung
here
out,
at
but-
11 in the morning, you could do what Amy Milan did to Sam Roberts.
I don't know if she knows who I am, but I sure know who she is. She's amazing.
I'm excited now. Okay, 11 a.m. on Monday on the live stream, live.torontomike.com. See you all then. Actually, I'm unmuting you. I want to see if you know these Easter eggs Rob Proust put in. Do you know this song?
Yeah.
What is this song?
What, Rosie and Gray? Lowest of the low, no?
No, this part.
Oh, this part.
Yeah, we left Rosie and Gray.
Oh.
So that's the Friendly Giant theme. Do you know this song? This is the Pizza Nova.
I was going to say, is it the pizza? Little Italian flavor.
You got it. Alfie Zappacosta. Okay. Do you know this?
Rings a bell. What
This is
that?
Romantic Traffic by Spoons.
Oh, okay. Oh, I've met
Ford.
a few members
Sandy
of
Horn.
Spoons. Yeah, that's the one.
Okay, do you know this song? So that's Shadowy Men on a Shadowy Planet, having an average weekend. It's the theme for the Kids in the Hall.
Oh, that makes sense.
And now we're back to Rosie and Gray.
Our boys. Love ya.